I think Wisconsin's looking a lot like New Hampshire, and I see us having a very, very big victory. His words, he said yesterday.
He said it's an empty auditorium.
If you look at, well, I don't think it was empty, Kelly. If you look at the last series of polls in the last 7 days, every one of them's got the race closer. The ARG poll yesterday had Trump ahead. I mean, you know, ARG, okay. But
it had 40% Democrats and independents. You know that. So.
Yeah, but anyway, the race has gotten closer every day this week. The crowds have been really good at our rallies. You know, and the establishment's love of Ted Cruz recently, which once they get to the convention, they'll be like, Ted who? But anyway, it kind of plays in our favor. I mean, it looks like he's a part of the establishment when he does this, which is, you know, I think it's working against him to a certain degree.
You've hired Paul Manafort, who ran the convention for Ronald Reagan in 1976.
Kellyanne.
No, I think he's part of the establishment, though. And just this afternoon on Twitter, it was revealed that your delegates in New Jersey include Governor Christie, one of his sons, and half of the county chairs. I think you're becoming
United States Senator and another former governor
cozy
too.
with the well, you're becoming a little cozy with the establishment because you need to.
Interesting, Kellyanne. Let me ask you.
Election. The Trump campaign intimidating people, you think, Kellyanne?
It seems like they're trying to. There's a great article today in the Washington Post by Ed O'Keefe, Don, and he really laid out the facts of what happened this weekend. So we hear from the Trump campaign, the rules changed, it's not fair, the system's rigged, the system's corrupt, and by extension the Colorado delegates would be corrupt who participated in it, I suppose. And yet, very clearly, it was laid out there that Stephen House, who's the party chair of Colorado, has received over 3,000 calls since the convention, all of them nasty. And he posted on Facebook, when I hear about burials and my family mentioned in the same sentence, this isn't politics, this isn't democracy, this is crazy. And so you can whine and complain all you want that you didn't know the rules and you changed the rules. And I would also say there's an analysis today that Donald Trump's won 35% of the popular vote, but 42% of the delegates already. So apparently they like the rule, they like those rules. But look, there's no place in politics, and I hope Kayleigh will back me up on this, no place in politics for people accusing folks of using Gestapo tactics. The Gestapo, that was Nazi tactics, and they took people and killed them. And I don't like those kind of references in politics just because your team can't get their life together in Colorado.
I know you think the whole system, you don't think it's fair, but do you think that, don't you think Cruz is just doing a better job with delegates?
No, I don't think so, because Donald Trump's ahead in the delegates. He's won more than double states of Ted Cruz. But I want to address some of the things.
But working the rules, though, do you think they're doing a better job of working the rules?
Can I quickly just address some of the things that Kellyanne said? Because, first of all, you know, since when are third parties indicative of what someone else says? So you're trying to say that Trump supporters are indicative of what Trump stands for. That's not true. Trump has disowned violence time and time again. Roger Stone, who Ted Cruz tried to pin on Trump tonight, does not work with the campaign. In fact, there's a controversy over whether
you don't work with the campaign, but you guys
Kellyanne, I've got to finish. There's a controversy over whether he was fired from the campaign or quit. He left on not good terms with the campaign. So again, that's another false accusation. And in fact, the only person who's been accused of dirty tactics was Governor Kasich, accusing Cruz of engaging in dirty delegate tactics.
So it's okay that people are being threatened. It's
in Michigan. So there are accusations by both candidates that Ted Cruz is in fact doing the bullying. So it's really ironic to see him say that he's not engaging in bullying.
I'm sorry, you're a very nice person, but are you going to look the viewers in the eye and tell them that it's a false report, that Stone and others are saying, we will publish that where your hotel room is?
I didn't say that was false.
We will come and knock on your door and threaten you if you don't support Trump.
Is that okay? I never said that report was false. We can obviously see that on a video, so it's not false.
Well, is it false?
But what's false is to say that he's tied to the campaign. There's no evidence of that. I would love to see Senator Cruz put out the evidence of his direct connection to the campaign that he was let go from.
We'd love to see Kayleigh, Donald Trump stand up and say, Roger Stone, cut the crap. Stop threatening people in their lives. That's not the
word. We're talking about the word.
But most people understand what it's in reference to.
All right, so Kellyanne.
I understand. I respect that.
I think that was a great try, Scotty, but it's vulgar. And this is the equivalent, really, in New Hampshire of Donald Trump skipping the debate in Iowa. It cost him votes. And I think people will think thrice now when they go into that ballot box and say, look, I've tried to send a message all along through Donald Trump to the establishment, but now I got to get serious about sending somebody to the White House. And do I want somebody who hurls personal insults or who goes and talks about philosophical differences? You know, the whole point of democracy, especially this year, when someone like me is thrilled to see record turnout at the Iowa caucuses on both sides of the on the Republican side of the aisle. Record turnout they're predicting in New Hampshire today. This is direct democracy in action. But the voters, they've thought very deeply about policy, and they have the reasonable expectation that the candidates have thought about it too.
But why are they engaged? Why are we seeing this record turnout? It's because of Donald Trump using words like this that engage the public. Granted, they're not words we use, but guess what? The majority of the public will say that word.
That's just not true.
A lot of people do say it, and then usually in reference to politicians.
Okay, well,
yes, it was. There's a reason why we have record.
Okay, but you screaming at me and trying to hog all the airtime is not going to take back the P word from last night, which was unfortunate for children and otherwise.
And you being
but let me
condescending
just say
doesn't
something
help
about
either,
record
Kellyanne.
turnout. 42% of the Iowa caucus voters last week on the Republican side were first-timers. That was meant to help. Mr. Trump. They said if you have record turnout on the Republican side, which you did, Trump would absolutely win. 42% were new, but Ted Cruz ran the tables. He won millennials. He won people that make under $50,000. He won the highest number of votes ever cast in Iowa caucus, and he's the first Hispanic to win a Republican caucus or primary anywhere. But that's all significant, and I think saying that
in my questioning. So I want to ask you about this alliance between you first, Kellyanne, between John Kasich and Ted Cruz, this alliance, shall we say, that Donald Trump is calling collusion. Is this fair game? Are they playing by the rules here?
Oh, absolutely. It's completely transparent. Donald Trump's tax returns aren't. I'd like to see those be transparent. And this was done in the light of day, and basically it affects 3 states. Oregon and New Mexico, that Mr. Kasich, Governor Kasich, will now go, I guess, and campaign in, and Indiana, where Ted Cruz is far ahead of John Kasich in a 3-way race, and which is a very important state. It's winner-take-all by congressional district.
He's saying to unify the party, both of them should quit. That would be the unifying strategy. That's what Donald Trump says.
I'm sure he would like them to quit because he should have had this nomination wrapped up at least a month ago. Yeah. And I think instead of worrying about them and insulting them as lying Ted and John Kasich, who eats like a slob, and everything else that was said today, which is fairly unpresidential, then I think he should just ignore them. I mean, if he wasn't worried about them, why not just ignore these 2 people he thinks aren't actual competitors? I actually think if he can go somewhere. For Trump, the debates are fraught with peril, because now the question is going to be about these Trump victims. The reason the messaging has gotten better since Alex's barn bird of an article 2 weeks ago is they're starting to talk about victims of Trump University, victims of Trump in Atlantic City. Before that, it was his conservative apostasies. Now it's actually you're for the little guy, but you've built your business on the backs of the little guy. Yeah.
But it doesn't, go over very well. For Trump, right?
It does work for Trump. Look, I think one of the untold stories of 2016, Carol, is that Christie was out-Christied by Trump. There was somebody with the Bob S. And look, Bridgegate, although Governor Christie has not been implicated in anything there, it really turned the narrative around. Before the victims of his elevated kind of talk, where they were unions and they were Democrats and they were people who were living off the system, but then it looked like it was commuters and it was everyday people. And I think that's actually something that could hurt Trump in South Carolina and beyond. If people start to see that he says he's for the little guy, but he's actually built a lot of his businesses on the backs of the little guy. And he's a lot of little guys through eminent domain or through not paying contractors after you've built something. The little guys have suffered. So that's a narrative I think hurt Chris Christie. But look, Chris Christie will be remembered for taking down Marco Rubio a couple of pegs and for really stopping his quest for to be the establishment favorite in his track. So maybe that's a good Attorney General of the United States.
I think Wisconsin's looking a lot like New Hampshire, and I see us having a very, very big victory. His words, he said yesterday.
He said it to an empty auditorium.
If you look at, well, I don't think it was empty, Kelly. If you look at the last series of polls in the last 7 days, every one of them's got the race closer. The ARG poll yesterday had Trump ahead. I mean, ARG, okay. But
it had 40% Democrats and independents. You know that. So.
Yeah, but anyway, the race has gotten closer every day this week. The crowds have been really good at our rallies. And the establishment's love of Ted Cruz recently, which once they get to the convention, they'll be like, Ted who? But anyway, it kind of plays in our favor. I mean, it looks like he's a part of the establishment when he does this, which is, I think it's working against him to a certain degree.
Goodness. You've hired Paul Manafort, who ran the convention for Ronald Reagan in 1976.
Is a hired employee, Kellyanne.
No, I think he's part of the establishment, though. And just this afternoon on Twitter, it was revealed that your delegates in New Jersey include Governor Christie, one of his sons, and half of the county chairs. I think you're becoming a little cozy with the establishment. Well, you're becoming a little cozy with the establishment because you need to.
Interesting, Kellyanne. Let me ask you.